welcome. Brother George here, and you're watching Know You As, a YouTube channel that's all about you, your creator, and the spirit that hates you. Today's topic is at war with an invisible enemy. You don't want to miss this, so sit back and relax. I'll be back in a moment. Thank you for your patience, and thank you for coming back to hear what I have to say about at war with an invisible enemy. As you can see now, I'm in my civilian clothes. I'm not in my army clothes, but don't let that fool you. I'm still at war with an invisible enemy. To benefit from this video, you must watch it till the end. With all of the turmoil and all of the tragedy that's going on today in this world with the coronavirus, I can imagine what you're thinking. I know you're probably saying in your mind, he's going to talk about the coronavirus, which is an invisible enemy that we're at war with. But no, that's not what I'm going to talk to you about today. What I'm going to talk to you about is another invisible enemy that we're at war with. So, let's get started. The invisible enemy I'm going to talk to you about is the one that I mentioned in my opening thought when I say this YouTube channel is about you, your creator, and the enemy that hates you. That's the invisible enemy I'm going to talk to you about. The enemy that hates you. Whether you know it or not, you're in a war. You're in a war with an invisible entity, or should I say spirit. And let me say this, the real you is a spirit. You are a spirit. You live in a body and you have a soul. You live in two different realms, whether you know it or not. And the realm of the spirit is more real than the physical realm that you can see and touch and smell. The thing about it is most people don't realize, but when you're a young child or a baby, you can see in the spirit realm. You can see spirits, you can see angels. That's why a lot of babies are looking up smiling, because they're seeing angels. Believe it or not, but it's true. As a human being, you're at a disadvantage in this war with the spirit that hates you. Why do I say that? For at this time, not hardly any human can see a spirit unless God allows them to. In the beginning of time, man was able to see spirits, but that was taken away from us eventually. You may ask the question, how could I be in a war that I know nothing about with spiritual beings? I'll tell you how you can. Just think about this. If you are a citizen of the United States and the United States goes to war with another nation, you're automatically considered as being at war, even if you're civilian or not. If you're in the army or you're a civilian, you're still considered as being at war with another nation. So, by us being here on this planet, and the spirit that hates us is at war with the Creator that created us, then until we join the Creator's war, then we're at war with the Creator, with the spirit that hates us. Even though he hates us, we're part of his army, or you are a part of his army. But once you transfer your citizenship, then you become a part of God's army. I hope I made that clear or understandable. You're in one army or the other. You have a choice. You could become a part of God's army, or you could remain in the army of the enemy that hates you. So this war started before you were created. This war started in heaven, and now is here on earth. I'm a movie buff, and I can pick up spiritual things from watching movies. Now there is a movie that came out some years ago. Actually, they made a trilogy out of it. But this movie came out some years ago called The Matrix. And what I got from The Matrix was there was an individual by the name of Neo. There was another individual by the name of Morpheus. I believe that was his name. There was another individual, and his name was Mr. Smith. Now, here's how the movie goes. Neo, an average individual, he knew about computers. And he started getting messages on his computer from this other individual. To make a long story short, they met up one day, Morpheus and Neo. And Neo was enlightened. He found out that he was living in sort of a dream state. And when he saw who he really was, he began to be at war with Mr. Smith. Now that is sort of like the way things are with us. We're actually living in a matrix. And someone, a Morpheus or a Christian, has to let another individual know that they're living in a matrix and that they need to be born again. And once they become born again, then they can learn who they really are and why they're here. That reminds me of another movie that represents the enemy that hates us. There is a movie called Blade Runner. There was a couple of androids, more than a couple, maybe 4 or 5 androids, that found out that their time here was about to expire. So they wanted to know who created them and how the one that created them could add some time to their life, shall I say, as an android, but how to add to their existence, that they would live here a little longer. So, and one of them wanted to be like the individual that created him. That reminds me of the enemy that hates us, but he wants to be like his creator. I could go on and on about the movies and how they show me similarity to the spiritual realm. I'll give you one last one. There was a movie out called, I believe it's The Return of Superman. And in this movie, there was a scene where they had a picture of the father of Superman, and he made a statement. He said the father sent the son, and he's more or less saying that the son would save the world. And that's kind of like the way it is. The father sent the son, and we receive the son, and we become born again. And by doing that, we can live forever with God. Now, there in the Bible, it talks about the second death. The moment you were born, you died. You were separated from your Creator. You have to be reunited with your Creator. And there's only one way to do that. You have to come through Jesus Christ. It kind of tells us in the Bible, Romans 10:9 and 10, that it's in our mouth. We have to make a confession, and we have to believe what we're saying. We don't just make a head confession, but you have to believe what you're saying. And that is that Jesus is the Son of God, and that He died for the sins of the world. But you have to believe that. So we are in a war, if you know it or not. And the leader of the army that is against us has soldiers, spiritual and physical. The spiritual soldiers are called principalities and powers and rulers of darkness in high places. Their goal is to get rid of us so we will end up where they're going to end up, which is the lake of fire. So know this, you are in a war. I heard something years ago, and that stuck with me. I don't know who the author is, but it goes like this. You don't know what you don't know until someone tells you what you don't know. So right now, there are some people out there that never heard this before, so they don't know. And I'm telling you what you don't know. There are some people out there that already know this, so that doesn't apply to them. But you need to know that you are at war. And what is the war about? The war is about your eternal destination. Your eternal destination is either remaining separated from God or being reunited with God. And if you're separated from God, the Bible calls that the second death. And in the second death, you're going to exist throughout eternity separated from God, your Creator. But if you accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior, then you will be rejoined with God, your Creator, and live with Him throughout eternity. So, with that, I would say this is Brother George. Again, you're watching Know You As. Make sure you subscribe, ring that bell, and give me a thumbs up. Thank you. I'll see you next time.